Welcome to DubLife Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host, and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up, because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. All right, welcome back to DubLife Diaries. This is going to be an awesome one, guys. I hope you guys are ready for this one. I just look at the background, all right? Need I say more? Now, you know what nobody talks about? They talk about how, well, it's easy to start a company, right? It's a whole different game to earn the trust, though, of the entire Volkswagen community. Today's guests aren't just building Volkswagens. They're actually protecting some of the biggest names in the air-cooled world. One man took a leap of faith, walked away from a very successful electronics business, bet everything on restoring classic cars because, well, he couldn't really imagine doing anything else. The next generation didn't just inherit that vision, they actually expanded on it. So instead of letting legendary brands disappear, they stepped in to preserve them. So you got West Coast Classic Interiors, the name trusted by several builders for decades, loose nut safaris, carrying forward a reputation, handmade, right? Reputation built in the USA, handcrafted quality, while pushing into an entirely new future beyond Volkswagens, which is really cool. I appreciate that for you guys. At the center of it all is a family that believes craftsmanship still matters, that a handshake still means something, and that your reputation is actually one thing that you can never afford to lose. So today we're talking about taking risks. We're buying businesses instead of competing with them. We're restoring icons. We're building products that actually outlive you. And why the future of the VW hobby depends on people that are actually willing to protect its past. So whether you're into buses, whether you're into bugs, whether you're into Gias, or if you've never turned a wrench in your life, this conversation is really about something bigger. It's about legacy. So joining me today is Morrie Hozen of Silver Lining Auto Restoration, Moisei Prohoroff of West Coast Classic Interiors, and Phil Prohoroff of Loose Nut Safaris. This is DubLife Diaries, and I got a feeling this one is going to be pretty special. Guys, welcome to DubLife Diaries.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
You guys are so welcome, man. I'm super pumped for this one again. I just look at your background. I got goosebumps just looking back at some of that quality. Before we dive in, let me just give a couple shout outs to a couple of my quick sponsors. First up, Volksmania magazine. You guys know how I feel. The flyest VW magazine on the face of the planet. Check these guys out, Volksmania.com. You guys can use DubLife 10. That's DUBLIFE, the number 10 at checkout. That'll get you 10% off of your subscription. Also, shout out to Salty Dub. From the beach to the bay, Salty Dub is tearing up the West Coast of Florida scene. We're growing though, okay? I say we because, well, it's me and my buddy Alan's company. We do promotions, we do swag. Speaking of swag, I'll show you that. Our event clips are back on the website. They're live. They're selling out, so hurry up and grab one, grab two. They make great gifts as well. So check these guys out, saltydub.com. Again, use DubLife 10 at checkout. You can get 10% off of your merch. It doesn't work on our events, though, so no discounts on events. All right, guys. That's it on my shout outs. That's it on my sponsors. Now it's time for you guys. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Now, these questions are going to be kind of geared toward all of you, but some of you or any one of you can take the reins at any time. All right. So let's start here. For somebody who's never met you guys, who are you outside of cars?
Well, I'd say for me, I'm a family man, right? Wife got two.
So which one are you? Just so, because the YouTube version is going to come through and people are going to put a name to the face.
I'm Morrie Hozen.
Hey,
Silver
Morrie.
Lining. You would probably want to say the founder. Started the business, how long ago? 14 years ago, probably now.
Yeah,
I think
2013 or
14 years ago. And been doing restorations pretty much my whole life, since 13, 14, started the passion. But then my two nephews kind of joined in about, well, I'd say 12 years ago,
2014, 15, somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
a couple years after I started, they were always around me though. I was doing all sorts of stuff, in my father's barn and his shop, and they were always around. They were 12-year-olds as well, saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing, Uncle? Why are you doing that? Why are you standing like that? What are you doing?" So,
Wow.
they just were kind of always around, and just stayed that way for the years as I kept going, and then I don't know, about 6 years ago, they bought into the business as well. So they have part ownership. And since then, we have acquired two businesses with West Coast and Loose Nuts.
So cool. And that's how our paths connected. I reached out to you guys to find out some information about the safaris, and then I kind of find out that that's got new ownership and stuff now, and yeah, man, exciting. So again, thank you guys for coming on. All right, so nephews, introduce yourselves and tell us who are you outside of cars.
Well, I'm Moisei Prohoroff with West Coast, and kind of in the same way as he is with that, just always wanting to work on cars. Really, I mean, if it's not at work, we're at home working on something. Family's really important as well. So uh, that, like you said, family life really are uh, away from home, away
Yeah.
from work. Yeah,
Do you have a family? You've got kids?
yeah, a wife and two kids, a boy and a girl.
Okay, cool, man. All
Yeah.
right, other nephew.
And I'm Phil Prohoroff, and pretty
What's
much
up,
the
Phil?
same.
Okay.
I got just a wife. I don't have kids yet. Pretty much anytime I'm not here at work, I'm at home, either working at home or spending time with her. So try to
Hey,
get out. Don't get much time, but
sounds like you're the
that's pretty
smart
much.
one then. Spending time with the lady.
Yeah, well, I think that question for us is a little difficult to answer is because we're just here at work all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you
Okay.
outside of Silver Lining, West Coast, and Loose Nuts? We're like, I don't know if we have a life.
Yeah. You're like, what do you
Our,
mean outside of it? What?
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
our wives think just about work. That's all.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask this question then. This can be geared toward all three of you. At what point did you guys realize, for all of you, probably different times in your lives, that this isn't really just a hobby anymore? This is something I'm gonna, turn into a business and turn into my life.
Yeah, I think, that started probably with me again. I think, you know, um, being at a young age, father getting, giving that card to me at that young 13 years old and telling me, hey, if you want to drive at 16, you better get started. And I think just kept me out of trouble through that young. I was always motivated to work on. I had no idea. It was before the YouTube days, believe it or not. So, I was going to shops, local shops, and asking them, how do you do it? I had a grandfather figure who was in body work down in California that I always would call and say, how do I get the corner on this 52 Chevy? It's rounded and all the blocks are straight. How do I make that curve? And the blocks weren't even available that bend now that they do and all that. So I literally had like a wooden stick. He told me, get a paint mixing stick, put it in water, and then get your 6-inch sandpaper and wrap it around it. And then the stick will bend and you can make your corners. That's the device he gave me.
Hey.
And literally 4 months of that, I could go rob a bank because I had no fingertips because of the sanding. So I mean, yeah, for me it was that. And then through my 20s, I got a 63 Bel Air wagon. And I think that's what separated for my body work, getting the panel straight because it's a 17 and a half foot panel, from front to back. And just the block standing, the hundreds of hours spending in that. And then going through the 20s, doing all sorts of different cars, even, newer cars, doing salvage title cars, getting a panel, replacing it, a rear section, replacing it, and then kind of just one day working and decided, man, I want to go do something on my own, and I want to build a business. And I know this. I built up a lot of tools, had a lot of tools from over the years of working. I said, why not? Let's try it. And the idea was born, and went down to the state and started the corporation. And here we are 14 years later talking about it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. How about you guys? Nephews. When did you realize this ain't gonna be a hobby for me? I'm all in, and this is gonna be my life.
For me, I mean, since as far back as I remember, we're into cars. Probably when I started working, I'd say I can't remember exactly. I think it was around 14, 15 when I started working. I got started working for him in the metal shop, and I just loved it. And I was like, that's what I want to do. The metal work part, I love that part. I just wanted a welder in my hand all the time and be welding stuff. And
That's
it
so
was so fun fixing the rust and taking these old cars and putting them back together. It was just it was somewhere around that, 2016. I would have been 16, 15, 16, somewhere around that time. That's what I want to do.
okay. All right. And how about you?
I was actually working at another place I was in like a production area
Okay.
uh with metal fab little making we're making parts. And then he came to me one day, he's like, "You want to come work on cars?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, let's do it." And we've kind of always been with him, and there was an opportunity to get to come in and work, was started part-time. Uh and then it escalated really quickly into that, and at that point then it wasn't a hobby working at home working on cars. It was actually working at work now, and it was uh like him with the welder. He wanted to start me with a paint gun, so that was where I wanted to come in, was to paint. I thought that was the coolest thing ever, is to put color on cars. So that's where that went.
Awesome, man. So, you guys are in deep, right? You guys got some iconic names, some iconic brands. Did you guys think even, up through 6 years ago, 8 years ago, when you kind of bought in and started, and even up through just last year with the Safaris, did you guys ever really think that this was going to equal you guys running multiple iconic brands in the VW world?
I mean, for me, no way. I mean, the first 4 years of opening the doors, seriously almost closed them 3 times. Couldn't make ends meet, man. Couldn't ends make. It was too tight. Didn't have money. I just, what do you do? Maybe go back to a day job, and then something would happen, and then the doors were stayed open, and then you go to the next day, and so yeah, for me, absolutely not. I would never thought it would be this, and it's still a struggle. We still need our clients. We still need guys calling us and wanting these restorations and wanting the builds and wanting interiors, and so that's where we focus on that, giving the best quality we can give, and stand behind our product, and hopefully people want to put something period correct, for the interiors, period correct, and have something that fits, really tight and nice. And then the Safari is the same thing, just putting you know, our stamp, our fingerprints on each business, because ultimately the old owners, they ran it the way they ran it, and then we have the way we run it.
Right.
And so we like to, but no, I mean, to answer that question, I would have never thought.
Yeah, never for me either. I mean, I just thought I'd be just in the shop all the time and just
It kind
fixing rust.
kind of makes you want to wish you still are sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
So I'm interested to hear what's like a family gathering or family dinners like for you guys when everybody in the room is just absolutely obsessed by classic cars, Volkswagens even specifically. But what are family gatherings like?
Well, we start with eating
A lot of
and
food.
food, and then if there's,
Our food.
yeah, I think the second there's a moment of silence, all of our wives cringe because they know we're going straight to work. And then we start talking about work, and they just they just shrug their shoulders
They usually disappear at some point, and they're just kind of bored with it. But yeah, we try, we try to keep family time,
Yeah.
and but it's difficult. So
Yeah. Out of you guys, who's the perfectionist?
I'd say all of us. We all have our own area that we're OCD on.
Okay.
We all have we can't say one is more than the other
Okay.
because yeah.
yeah, and that's I guess our strong point in that is every area we have someone, one of the three of us are really focused on making sure it's right. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to pinpoint one person specifically.
Who's the risk taker?
Morrie.
All
He
right.
takes the risks and then talks us into, going along with it.
So
We're the ones that are taking the
he's the
risks too.
salesman too, then, huh?
Yeah.
Who gets blamed when things go sideways?
I mean, Moisei.
Yeah, that'd be me. Yeah.
All right. Well, silver lining has been kind of the staple. It's the longest business that you guys have kind of, been involved with or started, 14, 15 years ago. So let's touch on that one first. Let's get a little bit of backstory on silver lining if we can. Take us back to, I guess, what'd you say? How old were you when your dad handed you that Chevy truck? You say you were 15, 16 years old?
Yeah, I was actually 13. I was actually 13.
Okay.
And so it was a very basic, I didn't know anything. Quite honestly, I was scared to weld. I didn't know you could actually weld. There was a little bit of rust on the floorboard. And I asked my father, I was like, I don't know what to do. There's a little rust here. And he's like, I don't know either. I don't weld on cars. And he's like, I've done fiberglass before. You want to maybe fiberglass? I'm like, sure, let's fiberglass it. And for the whole build, I look back on it and it wasn't great, but it was my first and I was young. And my parents were just pulling my leg. Wasn't going to drive that car. I got a normal car. Finished it at 17. And but it just got me into that. It was fascinating to me. And then as the years went on, like I said, the 63 Bel Air, I got that one. And then a few people started hearing about me. I got a few little jobs on the side. I did another 1950 Chevy pickup. I did that. And then in my 20s, there was a lot of salvage tire cars. And I got into Priuses just on the side, side gig for myself. And I'd just literally be cutting the back halves off and welding them together. And I would be transparent, and I would show all the pictures of the process. And when I put them online for sale, people were buying with confidence because I wasn't hiding nothing.
Right.
They saw that there was no motor damage, no transmission issues, no electric problems. It was just cosmetic, and that's what I was wanting to fix. It's just cosmetic.
Right on.
And then that just kind of kept going, and then, the thought was born. I knew how to do it. I thought I knew how to do it.
You had an idea.
You had an idea,
Yeah.
but you're always learning. And so when that idea came, I just kind of thought to myself, I'm doing this. I was in sales and electronic components, and I just wanted to go on my own, do it myself, see if we can make it happen. And
You touched on that though, and I want to touch on that too. Before this, there was a successful electronics business. Talk a little bit about that. What made you, kind of walk away from that? I guess, even talk to us about maybe how your family reacted when you maybe took something that was a stable position in your life and traded it in for passion.
yeah, I guess at the time I was working for somebody already for a company, and I don't know. I think I went to my wife and I was like, I think I'd like to do something with my hands. Like I don't even know what I'm selling, and I want to build something. And I know cars, and I love cars. I love the old cars. And I always did. And so she was just kind of, well, dude, she gave me the vote of confidence. Just do what you want to do what you need to do. And it was actually my brother. I called him, and I asked him, what do you think I should do? Go for it. He's like, absolutely, absolutely, just go for it. And then, get in 2 feet, whatever you do. He wasn't really excited what I was doing. He's like, I don't think cars are really a good living. I don't think you're needed in a time of, maybe a slowdown in the industry or slowdown in the world. It's probably something that I wouldn't pick, but hey, not, go for it.
Yeah, and he's the uncle that he would drive a box with wheels on it. He could care less what he's driving. Cars are the least I don't think he even knows what he drives
Yeah.
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, so for him, it was literally the dumbest idea. And, I'm the younger brother. So, but, they just kind of all reacted the same. They didn't think it could be something. But I think they had the confidence that if, hard work, that was never a question. Putting the hours in, never a question. And, there was it was days and nights, literally days and nights. It was a lot of work. And it was really nice them kind of being around, a couple years in, showing up at night with me, sat in on cars 'cause I had deadlines and I was trying to get stuff done. I still had to do the office, the ordering, organizing, all of it, it's more than just, if you're doing the work by yourself, it's everything, right? I mean, it's a full-time job just working, and then you have all the books and all the ordering and that as well.
Right
So
on.
that help was nice. And I think they always say two is better than one, and then what's better than two? Three. So a partnership was formed. So
Yeah. So looking back though, for you specifically in business now, what, 15 years, what were some of the hardest times, or maybe even what was like your hardest year?
I think it was the second to the third year.
Okay.
Um, because every kind of going into business, you have a pool built up. You have that little pool of funds that you can always rely on. And that ran out. It was gone. And it was real. It was kind of getting to that point like, okay, so every time a bump came, you didn't have anything to fall back on financially. And it got to the point where, yeah, it was like, I think I got to close the doors, like I mentioned earlier,
Right.
three or four times, like seriously three times. And fourth was just out of frustration, just not going forward and not thinking. You get tired of it, of problems and all the trials and tribulations that come up in running a business. And it was, it's like, is this worth it? So I'd say 2 to 3, from that year 2 to 3 was the hardest.
How has Silver Lining evolved from those early days to really what it is now?
Good help.
Hey, which is
Good help.
actually one of the hardest things to find, right?
Yeah. I think I think with the two nephews joining, that was just the two pillars that you can count on. You can lean back on. Um, and that was huge right there. And then just over the years, adding the parts and pieces,
Yeah.
and building the crew. And face it, without a good crew, you're nothing,
How
and
how
Mhm.
how how
that I think
many,
that's
how many of them? How many? How big is your crew?
I think I think we're up to about 16,
Damn.
between the three companies.
Okay.
Um,
Wow, man, you guys are
and
rocking.
so it's we everybody's kind of cross-trained in a lot of things.
Yeah.
There's so that's kind of nice as well.
Yes. Super cool. What values that you guys have, that really have never changed this whole time?
That'd probably be quality. It's just that's one of the most important thing to us is do the best qualities we can in everything, in the metal work, the body work, the assembly, everything to have it.
And
I
staying
think,
and staying humble to understand that we're not the best,
yeah.
right?
Ooh, that's nice.
And I think
It
that's what I always
it looks like what's in the background though. Looks like you might be kind of teetering on maybe some of the best.
well, I mean, it's I think it's rewarding when people come in, people do walkthroughs, they'll hear about us and they'll be like, hey, can we visit? And yeah, come on down. And the reaction, I think it's rewarding. We're just in our work, we're doing our stuff and just doing our thing, and then when people enjoy what we do, it's rewarding. It really is.
I bet, man. I bet. Tell me this, guys. What's the biggest misconception that people have about restoration shops?
I'm gonna say paint.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say body
I
work and paint.
I think
Yeah.
that's we all agree on that because I mean we see that so much and it goes and then when it gets to the body work, it's always this it gets really expensive and if you don't pay it, it ain't gonna look good. And
Yeah, it's the whole
it's yeah.
like we hear people spend their money on their frame, right? Their pans and or in the buses, the running gear, the suspension, the motor, the transmission. They spend endless amount of funds on that stuff. And then when it comes to the paint, which is the whole entire car, the vehicle. I
That's
mean,
what that's the first thing you see.
everyone's going to look at the paint, and everyone has a problem with how much time it takes to get the bodywork and paint perfect. It is ridiculous how many hours it takes.
Yeah,
Man,
and I think it's the primer company's fault because they make everything gray. So when our update pictures,
Yeah.
you see gray, and then next week it's more gray, and then there's filler that's gray. They need to mix it up a little, throw some blue in there or something.
We have a pink primer now.
Oh yeah.
So-
Well,
Yeah.
It's
for
kinda
colorblind
nice.
people like me, sometimes it's a little
Nice. We could
difficult.
change the colors a little bit, but yeah, I think we would say that that's the biggest.
And it's not like what you see on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see all these TV shops. It don't work like that.
Yeah.
It just there's so much that goes in, even on those behind the scenes.
right.
But it's not done in a week. You don't just go from bare metal to paint in a week.
No, I've actually had guys on, right, that have elite, high level builds, coast to coast show winning builds. And they're like, yeah, well, I finally got it back from the shop about 26 months later. I'm like, damn, over 2 years? Like, whoa, right? Like, so I hear that type of stuff. And then I even have some experience myself. I found a bus here, a 67 split window that was sitting in this guy's driveway, rusting to nothing. Probably a year and a half ago or so, and I picked it up for a really fair price. And my dream was, I've always wanted a split window. I'm gonna bring it to a body shop and I'm gonna have them fix everything, and I'm gonna get it back and I'm gonna drive it, and it's and I take it to a body shop locally, and they tell me the time and the investment. We're looking at like between 60 and $80,000. I'm like, hold on a second, man. So I can talk to what you guys are really
Yep.
saying. But look, this thing was bad. It needed
Yeah.
all floors, everything up front. It had a couple of pieces of the frame that were questionable. I mean, it was pretty rough.
I think, and then I'll talk on that because that's a good company that you went to because they told you what it was about. There's a lot, I think the biggest dysfunction in the automotive restoration industry is a lot of shops will tell you what you want to hear, get you in the door, and then, oh, it's worse than we thought. It's look at all this rust, look at
Yeah,
all this
good
rust.
point.
And you've
Great
already
point.
made that investment and you're kind of into it,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
a lot of work. And
I learned.
sometimes the honest truth is it's hard to hear, but when you spread it over a couple years, or even we have builds that went 6 years, and it's a slow process. Not everyone could afford it. We get it. I can't, so it's we just try to help out in that way.
Well, that's what they say. Perfection takes time. And,
Yeah.
clearly what's going on behind you guys back there, clearly you guys are also doing it right. So that's pretty awesome. I want your opinion on this, though. What separates average restorations from, the most elite restorations that we see at the shows?
Probably time. Just the time that's spent in them. I mean, you can't cut corners. And the guys that are doing it right are taking the time. I think and that's one thing that we kind of on our updates for our clients is the amount of step by step that we take in the pictures of that process. So they see every detail that's going in and they do. It's amazing the feedback because they'll be like, I didn't even know. I didn't realize. Like, wow, that was interesting. And I think the metalwork is the biggest, as you say, your biggest return.
You see the most.
Yeah.
You see the most happening. You see the rust, and then it gets cleaned out, is cleaned up, repaired, welded back, and it looks good. The updates are a lot more.
appreciative
Yeah.
and accepted. And then, like we said, it gets to the body work and like, is anything happening? And then that's just the detail. When we go to shows, we sponsor the local one here in Woodburn, and we get awards that we give out personally from our shop because we're sponsors. And when we go through and we're judging other cars that are in the show and shine or whatever, and that's what we're looking. We're looking for the edges. We're looking for lines. We're looking for the details. And when you see it done, you just know the time that was spent. So to answer your question, time is the difference.
To the nephews, tell me what stands out growing up around Morrie? What lessons kind of stuck with you guys before you even realized they were lessons?
I would say don't be afraid to just get in and do something and figure it out. Kind of when I started, I was working from a little bit already, and I knew I wanted to do a metal work, and he just there was a bus sitting outside, and he gave me some metal, and he's like, cut the floor out, cut out there's like the outriggers, the top, like take the floor off the top hats, and the long panel. There's like that lower section you cut out to replace, and he just threw me the parts and to do it. And I mean, I just thinking back, it's embarrassing. I mean, I damaged every single tube that he said not to damage that goes through, for your heater boxes, all those lines. And I think from that, I mean, it was terrible. I welded some stuff back. It was so crooked. It was terrible. But he always would just come and like, okay, well, that's not good. How are we going to fix it? It was always how are we going to fix it? And don't be afraid to just get in because after that, I kind of figured some stuff out. And then the next challenge, I just was able to get right into it and figure it out. And also to not get frustrated when you mess up. You mess
Yeah.
up, you just figure it out and move on. And
And
I,
don't make the same mistake twice.
yeah,
Oh, that's good.
yeah, I think that's some of the kind of just thinking right now what I could come up with. That's
That,
what I
that
remember.
and that what you said kind of resonates with business across the board. Mindset determines, outcome. Outcome, usually is shifted by the way you feel, the way
Yeah,
you look at things, the way your attitude is toward things. So if your leader, the guy that was teaching you guys everything, was just like, hey, all good. You messed this up, but what are we gonna do to fix it? What are we gonna do about it? Right?
yeah. And
That's
that's what I think it really helped for me to grow.
yeah,
Because if you would have
absolutely.
got like frustrated and pissed off, then I would be like, I don't know what happened, but you'd probably just,
Get discouraged.
yeah, get really discouraged. And I see that when I started going into like training when people come in and they'd mess up and they just get so pissed off. And but it's okay, just calm down. We'll fix it.
Yeah.
And I think from the beginning, him teaching me that way really helped me. For when problems come up, it's always what's the solution, not oh crap, that's such a pile of garbage or whatever. It's just
No, it's
let's
good.
figure it out.
It's good leadership, and it even makes good parenting. I tell my kids all the time, don't bring me a problem. Come to me with a solution, and let's work it out. Let's talk about it and let's figure it out. I try to not manage through an iron fist or manage through
Yeah,
anger. And I'm
that's
a sales trainer professionally. My background, my wife and I own a real estate company here in Florida, but my last 15 years of my life professionally, I've been a sales trainer and I teach leadership and I teach management and I even teach a big sales class several times a year. So a lot of these things that you guys, are talking about are things that I teach, to the way technicians should run calls and should treat people. So it's just great to hear. It's great to hear you guys have had a great leader, and these lessons obviously have stuck with you. Let's talk
Well,
about.
maybe when we're done, we'll hit you back up for some advice on some sales and how to
Hey man, happy to help there. Happy to help there. Let's talk about the family for a little bit. How do you guys? Because you guys touched on this before, right? When we were talking about family gatherings and dinners. How do you guys actually separate family from business, or do you?
it's kind of all in one, really. You know,
Let me ask it this way then. Is it easier or is it harder working with people that you're related to? Because like let me back it up and even say this. I grew up in a professional business environment, banking, etc. And I know this, like in banking, FDIC banking, Wells Fargo or Regions Bank or whatever, there's a question on the job application. Has any family members ever worked here before, right? If you say yes, you're not eligible to get hired, right? So there's always been this kind of dynamic in the background of like, that, oh, it's impossible to work around your family. Well, we all know that's not true, but I just want to hear the opinion. Harder or easier working with people you're related to?
I say for us it's easier because like for me and my brother, I mean we grew up together. We're I think about a year and a half apart. I mean we did everything together. We
yeah.
Yeah.
kind of know how each other thinks. We know our strong points. We know our weak points. And I know when I have a problem that's more better suited for him, I know I could push that on to him and he could, the other way. I know when we started this and going in partnership together, it was always, we're not going to let anything get in the way of family. The family is most important, and we're always going to be related. If there's something comes up, there's not going to be anything that we can't work through.
Yeah. And forget quick.
Yes.
And forget quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it is, because you go through business and there's frustrations. There is. We have different characters no matter what.
Right.
And just forget quick, and don't go home and talk to it with our wives,
Yeah.
because they're going to take our sides. Then let's just leave work at work. And but really, there's not a lot of that. It's just we're a team. We really are. And like he mentioned, every one of us have our strengths, and we just lean on each other. And if we get through it, we just get through problems, and we have each other's backs. And I think that's what's most exciting. And hopefully that will never change.
It doesn't seem like it's gonna, especially with your level of just kind of almost natural leadership. How do you guys protect your relationships though when money's involved? Because you hear this a lot, right? Like usually money is what gets in the way of a lot of families working together, regardless of its, nephew or brothers or whoever. How do you guys maybe even intentionally protect your relationships when money is involved like this?
I would say the same way. I mean, we're all in it for the same end goal, and we just want to get ahead in life, get ahead in business, get ahead for our families, and if he wins, we win. If Phil wins, we win. Which it always.
Yeah, we're in it together.
Yeah.
If things go bad, we're all in a bad spot.
Yeah.
It,
So if we were to pick each other on money, and he gets more and he gets more, and it's woe is me, that does no good for anybody. So
No.
it really is not. I don't think there's an issue there.
And he touched on family. For me, the future is more important than anything. I'm definitely, hopefully, I'm going to go first, right? And then the legacy will continue. And I got 11-year-old son. He has what is he?
3.
3. So we have we have now the next generation. We're wanting to prime, and they could come into the business. There's hopefully it's still around. We can keep moving forward, and then they have opportunity. And I think with multiple businesses, there's different opportunities for each person, and it also keeps us a little separated as well, because each person's kind of in their area.
Yeah.
And we just all know what we need to do already, and we just need to do it, and we just get it done.
I like it, man. You guys all have level heads, good attitudes about growth and about each other, and it really sounds like almost a refreshing dynamic. Let's dive into West Coast for a couple minutes if we can. So
Yeah.
let's talk first about the opportunity in itself. Describe maybe how this opportunity came to acquire West Coast Classic Interiors.
I think it was just working with Lenny Kopp for so many years, and we would only install his interiors over the years. We used other companies, and we just didn't like the quality. So we would tell clients, hey, if you want to go to them, that's fine. Just you install it after we're done with the restoration. But we're not willing to install that kit. So over the years, we were just solely using West Coast Classic Interiors. And however, we did SoFine.
Yeah.
SoFine Interiors, they build a good quality as well. And we would install their stuff, but it was more like they kind of have a different style than original. And so, but same good quality. But when it came to, installing, we really just only installed West Coast. And then, Lenny Kopp just kind of was getting older over the years, and working with him, there was no one taking it over. And so the future of it was kind of that. I went to him one day. I said, Lenny, who's going to take over business? If something happens to you, where does this business go? And I think he was at a point at that point where he was kind of just frustrated. It was a lot to manage.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I was in Los Angeles, and I just showed up unannounced, and I got out, he looked at me and he just said, "This is crazy, Morrie." Literally, I told Sue, who was an office manager at the time for him. I told Sue yesterday that we need to call Morrie and sell the business. And I just says, "Well, Lenny, I'm here to buy the business. Let's do it." And it was the first time I ever was there at his shop and did a walkthrough. I brought my father back the next day. We went through his books, made an offer. He accepted. And literally, I think it was like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, we went down there with trailers and we moved everything back up.
Wow.
And West Coast was born. So
Yeah.
reborn, I should say. You
Yeah.
know, having it in our ownership group.
So looking back at, I guess maybe the legacy or what he built, what did Lenny build that made the brand truly legendary?
I would think it was just the quality and the correct materials are the best possible. You know, since we took it over, there's been a lot of changes, but he for me it was a good quality product, and it was period correct. Which when all of our restorations at the time was a very period correct desire for all of our clients. So I think just with that, we naturally went to him for his interiors, and they were just the best that we found.
What now separates your kits from competitors' kits?
I think it'd be the same focus on originality. Uh, we're not, like you mentioned, so fine. We talk. I mean, I just talked to them last week. We all have our own lane in a way. They work on a lot more custom stuff, and we work on a period correct. So our focus is on as period correct as we can. We're always looking for closer and closer materials, getting original panels, taking them apart, looking at the back of the pocket, the back of certain areas, just to get a little more closer to original.
And you know, I think that to add on to what he's saying right now, day one we had a CNC machine waiting for the business, where Lenny would cut everything out by hand.
Okay.
So the fitment wasn't. We used it all the time, and it wasn't perfect, and we always were trimming. And so we had a CNC wedding, so everything was in CNC cut, all the panels, and we were constantly making adjustments by computer who doesn't make a mistake.
Right.
And that was a big add on
Yeah, right away.
right away.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you got to talk about the 58 and 59s because that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we have 58 and 59 Beetles were the
Mhm.
first year that the door panels were heat seamed. They were pressed as opposed to stitched.
Okay.
And so that was I think a 4-year project we took on.
Yeah.
We had aluminum die plates made and with all the correct dimensions and thicknesses and widths and everything to make that pressing. So we have our flat panels now that we press the correct pressing into for those years and then up to 64. They 58, 59 are a 1 year only pattern, and then from 60 to 64 is another year with different size lines.
Yeah, and those are the year where the seats are heat, they're pleated still.
Yeah.
And the panels are heat seamed. And then after 59, everything's heat seamed. So the seats are heat seamed. And, you know, just, you know, I think there's a few suppliers out there. The heat seam goes all the way to the edge to the piping. Well, we try to get it 2.5 inches or whatever it is to get it period correct. So
Yeah.
again, one-offs. We are stamping one, not a whole roll, and just using all the way to the end. So just those details, trying our best. You know, again, Joe, everybody has something to say about everybody, and we just do our best.
Yeah.
With the material, colors, we're just doing the best that we can. And we just hope people at least appreciate that.
Yeah, no, something I appreciate about what you guys just said a second ago was, you know, that kind of you guys, everybody kind of has their own lane inside of what you guys are doing. And I almost kind of relate that to my background and what I've been doing last 15 years, which is, you know, coaching contractors, you know, HVAC, plumbing, electrical companies on, you know, performance and, you know, creating a better brand, creating a legacy inside of craftsmanship for what they do. Obviously, in a similar thing, right? Working with their hands. But it's interesting because I teach them all the time that your competition is not your enemy. They're actually your close friends. There's enough to go around. So we don't badger our competitor. We don't talk shit about them. We don't, right? We don't like, there's no sense in doing that because it only makes you look bad, right? It looks worse.
Exactly. Yeah.
100%. That just And you already heard us talk about
So fine.
SoFine. You
Yeah.
know, we have no problem with SoFine.
Yeah.
They bring
That's
great
why I brought
stuff,
this up. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's fine. There's tons of companies out there that make good stuff, and we'll
Right.
install
There's
it.
enough to
You
go
know,
around. That's my
and
point.
that's what the cool thing with West Coast is we do installs as well. So say a guy wants to have a TMI interior, a SoFine interior, a custom interior, anything, we'll put it in for them. You know, if they really want the headliner done, you know, we'll go through that. But we would advise them, hey, our opinion would be this about this company, and this is just our opinion and our experience and what happens, the length of how it holds up, and this is why we would say maybe steer from this company. But that's it, you know. But the Badger, there's no room for
No.
that.
Yeah, and like these, there's reasons that like seat covers, for example, there's companies that make the seat covers fit a little bit bigger, so they're easier to install. We get customers that'll that'll get our interior in a box, right? And they'll try installing it, and they call us and say it doesn't fit, it's too tight. But that's how it was. That's how it originally was. So companies, as opposed to focusing on originality and trying to get it that way, they'll make them a little bit bigger so they're easier for everybody to install, as
Mhm.
opposed to, you need to put these out in the sun. You need to use steam. You need to heat these up. I mean, these wrapping these seats are pretty difficult. I mean, I remember the first one I did.
Yeah, it's
Like,
not for the weak.
it-
That's for sure.
Like sweating
Yeah.
in a hot room,
We
heating
had,
up the seats in the middle of winter,
yeah, we had a paint booth, and
and
we had a bunch of gas heaters in there, and it was hot. And that's what it takes sometimes to get
And
get
and then
those.
the after it looks so good.
yeah,
I mean, it's just tight. There's no ripples. It just
and
Mm.
it stretches
Yeah.
over the years. So if you start with something loose,
Yeah.
it's gonna get looser.
Right.
So
That's when you see those ripples in the
yeah,
seats. And
yeah.
yeah. Just 6 months in. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. In a world that chases more speed sometimes, and even as a company, from a company standpoint, chases more profit. Why do you guys feel like you double down on craftsmanship?
Yeah, just
OCD.
OCD. I
Yeah.
mean, that, you know, just being caring what you're building, I think. You
Mm.
know, when a bus is at a show, you know, we've had multiple times clients would take their bus to a show and people would walk up to it and they tell us after, yeah, so somebody walked up, asked, is this a silver lining restoration? And they're like, yeah, it is. How do you know? You're like, you can just tell. It's just
Oh,
different.
damn.
And
What a
that means so much to the clients because they understood that it was done right if someone can recognize it. So I think just the passion for caring, you know,
I
I
love
think
that.
that would be it, you
You
know.
know, well, very well said. And again, I hate to always, bring my my background into it, but it's just cool how they're so different and they also mesh. So technicians, a lot of times when I'm teaching them how to get better results, right? There's little things that I say, but a lot of times what it always comes back to is, look, all you have to do is care about the outcome more than your competitor. If you just care a little bit more than your competition, it's going to show in your work. And so I always say that. So you said that, right? You said, just care about the outcome. So yeah, man, I'm totally vibing with that. Talk to me about your customers. Have modern customers of today, have they become more demanding, or are they more patient but more appreciative?
In the times that we're in right now, I think
The Amazon age.
the Amazon age, everyone thinks that it needs to be there tomorrow, you
Instant
know,
gratification. Yeah.
Yeah.
and I think, you know, I think that's, we'll get into that, I'm sure, later on with loose nuts. But West Coast, I think they understand it takes time, and I think people call in advance when they're doing the restoration to start that process of what interior I'm going to need. The restoration shops will tell them, hey, you might want to start thinking about an interior. So they're a lot more acceptable, I would say. They
Yeah.
understand the lead time that it takes, that it may have. But loose nuts, no one wants to wait because they want it now for a show. It needs to be yesterday. And, you know, I think it's a mixture. The restorations, you know, same thing. I think things are getting a little tighter. So everyone wants to know where their funds are going, you know, why is it taking so long, things like that.
Yeah. Good
Um,
point.
but I think through a process and showing them what's going on and being transparent, letting them come here, walkthroughs, showing up. We've had great clients. We've been blessed. I
Yeah.
don't know what else to say it.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
personally how it feels to get pictures, to have something that you drop money on that, sometimes you sit, 2, 3, 4 weeks and you're like, I know he said it was going to take some time, you know what I mean? And I really don't want to text and like ask like for progress, but right, it starts kind of
Wow.
building up on you. So
Yeah.
you don't ask and you get pictures or you get progress or you get invited to come, tour the shop or whatever. I like personally, I know how that feels from a consumer standpoint. So just to hear that, right? And again, that probably even ties into caring more about the outcome, recognizing that that's something that people actually appreciate. Like you said, they want to see where their money's going. So yeah, man, I vibe with that. Let's talk about details for a second. What details do customers never notice, but professionals always notice?
I think lines,
Yeah. All those,
everything's
like,
a line, door gaps, lines,
yeah.
body lines, the straightness on the panels, um, you know,
All the corners, the edges, the
yeah,
hard to get areas
Okay.
is where,
all the details of
yeah.
the edges and lines.
and I think people see it back to when he was talking about the shows. People will see a car done right and just know it's right. They don't know why. If you ask them why is it right, they don't know.
Right.
But I
It's
think
just
there's a
weird.
general feeling
Yeah.
that you have when you see something where a professional is going to see and notice there's no buildup in this corner, or there's the seam sealer is flat in this area, or the details that disappear for most people, but it's an overall just look that people recognize, but
Yeah.
professionals can, or someone that's in it every day can pinpoint.
You said it though. Overall, it's a feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And that's oh man, so well said. All right, big picture. Where do we see West Coast 5 years from now?
I think with this move that we've had to this new building, being able to spread out a little bit and offer a little bit more of the the actual installs. A lot of clients, a lot of shops, they don't, they'll only do certain things. And having that ability to say, okay, all of the Pacific Northwest can easily just bring their cars now to us, and we can sit here and start doing the installs of whatever they want. And when the car is here, we can do custom work. You want plaid inserts, you want different seats. There's so much more you can do on the custom end when we have the car in our location, and the room gives us that ability. So I think I would say that
Yeah.
is having a lot more cars running through here on installs and opening that door a little bit wider, where before it was a tighter area, and it took a long time for us to get our interiors a job done.
Yeah, we're more focused on uh, mail order production, making panels, making seat covers, and shipping them, as opposed to having, 2 or 3 cars that we're able to work on in the interior shop specifically, specifically for interiors as opposed to full restorations.
I sure wish you guys were close because I've got a 62 Beetle that needs some love right now on the interior. It's a little past the project. I mean, it's a really solid dry car, but it's got the original 1200 in it. It's still 6 volt. I've got a 1776 in my garage that came off of a trike, so it's like all chromed out. That's the big,
Uh,
yeah, big chrome exhaust and stuff on it. I've got to make some minor adjustments there, but it's ready. It's ready to go in that car,
Well,
and
Joe, I mean, that's a good point you bring up is distance. We get clients from all over the U.S. I mean, we
yeah,
got one in Florida, New York, Georgia. It's one-time shipping to us, transit, and one-time back. Just for an interior job, I can see it would add a lot to the overhead of it. But for a restoration, we see
right.
them coming from all over the U.S. because,
Oh, I
hey,
bet.
it's a name they can trust, and
Yeah,
it's a location that everything could be done. A
right.
lot of companies are switching only to metalwork and they don't want to do body work anymore because it is a area that a lot of guys don't want to do. It's messy, it's dusty. So a lot of guys are getting out of that body work and paint, and then having someone to be able to do the metal work, body work and paint, assembly, put in the interiors. It's becoming a one-stop shop.
Ooh.
And with quality. Not a lot of guys will say, well, what is it? A jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
with the trio here, that's not the case because each one of us has our expertise
Right.
in what we do. So we're
Master of
getting,
all trades.
yeah, you have a well-rounded companies that have the craftsmanship in each one.
All right. Fast forward a little bit. Now we're at Loose Nuts Safaris, most recent business venture. Let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about it. Let's teach the VW community about what's going on with Loose Nuts now. First things first, why the decision to rename it from VW Loose Nuts to Loose Nuts Safaris?
That was because of Volkswagen VW. We didn't want the name VW in there for
For trademark
yeah.
is one.
Okay.
That's probably just one right off the bat. But I think the vision backing that up with number two was we love cars, so we're not stopping at Volkswagens. Um, and
Perfect.
we already have a Chevy window for the Chevy guys.
Yep.
And we are in R&D right now. Actually, if you went on our Instagram, we just made a post and we flashed onto the cab of the C10. So
Ooh.
we are not stopping with Volkswagens.
I
So
thought
of
I
course
saw
we had
Caddy. I thought I saw Caddy on the page the other day. I think I shared something. So for you guys to go from VW Loose Nuts to just Loose Nuts Safaris, it takes away the limitation of just Volkswagen. So, but also naturally for branding and stuff, with a Volkswagen thing. And by the way, the logo's sick. I love that new logo. I see it on your hoodie. I've been eyeballing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to get one sent to you.
Yeah, awesome, man. So let's do this. Let's touch on why is it important to distinguish the new ownership, or even how can you distinguish the new ownership while still kind of honoring Jeremy's legacy?
I think on that one, we already built our name. We feel Silver Lining is a pretty it's a well talked about name.
Mm,
A lot of people
very
will call
well.
us and they say, "Hey, I heard a lot of good things about you," and there's reviews written about you guys. Then we took over West Coast, right? And then we put our imprint on that one as well. And and going into Loose Nuts, it's the same. The quality, everyone we really enjoyed the quality over the years. And okay, what changes could we make? And immediately we put our fingerprint on it. We changed the bracketry. We changed the logo. When you open that window, that one logo on the window now has that logo that you love, right?
Sick.
And it's just those little details that we love because when we're looking at it, we want to, it's just putting our fingerprints on it, I guess. I'd say that. And making that distinction change, from we now know what was built and what we built, kind of to better help all of our clients, when they're calling with questions. Well, we know, okay, by the logo, we will know, if it was the old ownership or if it's our ownership that built that window. So I think just that, putting our imprint on it, making those adjustments, and then just carrying on where we can make them better, adding products.
Mhm.
I mean, you want to talk about the Gia?
Yeah. Yeah, we just launched the rear for the rear window on the Gia, which, man, that thing is hard. I mean, that window, the bottom section, it goes this way, this way. It's doing all sorts of
It's
bending.
like a potato chip.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
You
But
don't think that. I have one. I've got a 71. It's getting some really cool custom paint on it right now. But it's my wife's and she loves it. We picked it up out of Pennsylvania. Super dry, clean car, one owner, 46,000 miles. Really, 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 really nice car. But man, I'm a Safari window guy. I'm down here in Florida. It's hotter than hell, especially in the summertime here. And I just got to find ways to get ventilation. The Gia doesn't have the windows that open that I can flip and demand all that draft. So you almost got to look for ways. But when I looked at your guys's, I guess invention, right? And I saw that this new Gia back window, when I looked at it opened, I'm like, damn, I didn't realize there was that much contour in that window.
Yeah.
I really didn't. So hats off to you guys. Pretty awesome. When's the windshield going to be coming out?
That was actually, I was working on it this week. So it's
Nice, man.
really close. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. Um,
Yeah, it's just figuring out the last little, how the brackets are and all that's going to work. But that's
okay.
always a challenge.
Yeah.
First challenge, you figure out how to make the bends and make the window fit and all the gapping around. And then the next challenge is making everything. We try to have it to where somebody that has a painted car can bolt everything in,
Good.
and weld.
Oh,
We prefer weld because it's stronger, of course. Um, so it's making everything fit where it has a good strong place to screw it on.
Yeah, and those Gia pillars are real narrow. So
Yeah.
he was doing some pretzel work on some metal, trying to get it to fit well, look good, and still be structural. So it's not, a thin piece of metal barely on there with a couple of screws.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
And it's still a big window, so we're gonna see it. We don't have a Gia to put it on and drive around, so we're gonna see. It's a big window. We're definitely not telling people drive with the windows open, but cautiously, test the kit and see where it goes.
Yeah, awesome, man. Let's go back up just a little bit though, because we're already kind of getting past the point. And sorry, my camera just it follows me. Let me stop. Shut that off. I want to go back to this though, before we get past it and get a little bit more into what's coming. Why loose nuts anyway? Like what made you even want to do this in the first place? What made loose nuts kind of maybe so respected that made you guys even interested to try to, I guess purchase this company?
Did we mention we're risk takers? He
Okay.
comes to us, he goes, "We're going to buy a business." We are?
Yeah, I think with West Coast classic interiors, there was having that of being a California company, moving it out of California, there was a lot of business with installs that we lost when we took it up to Oregon.
Okay.
A lot of California client base found other companies locally, right? So they didn't really follow the business right when we took it over. So when we were just kind of looking around, and it was kind of just organic, Jeremy came by our shop for the first time, and we started talking, and I just said it, the boxes kind of checked. He was in the Pacific Northwest, not too far away, so still around where it was originated. Everyone in this area, they appreciated his quality,
All
what
right.
he built over the years.
Hmm.
And I was just kind of I told him, I said, and just knowing and hearing his desire to spend more time with his family, it was kind of just I threw it out there. And I just said, if you're ever interested in selling, um, we might want to sit down and talk. And I personally didn't think it was going to be as fast as it was. Um, he called back, I think, a couple months later and says, "Let's sit down, let's do this."
Well,
And it
you
happened.
know, big picture and looking at it, I've seen a lot of companies get acquired especially in the trades. And again, going back to what I know, but you see a lot of times when how excited, I guess, somebody can get when they know they're acquiring a company that truly has quality and has a reputation, a good reputation. So again, to hear that the follow-up was there and it happened faster, it's like you guys were probably excited, like, oh shit, like it's going down, like we're gonna do this, like wow, like it's really happening. So, and I see that even happen inside when guys I know have acquired, let's say, a plumbing company and they already own an HVAC sector, or they add electrical and they're already HVAC and plumbing. So now they're all home services combined. And the plumbing company that they, might inherit or might purchase has been in business 35 years and has this just unbelievable thousands of 5-star reviews online, etc. It's like, oh my goodness, like we're striking gold type thing. So yeah, man, I dig it. But how much knowledge was actually personally handed down during this actual transition?
Definitely the techniques on how things were built, and definitely the time spent um, kind of going through the processes of the windows and the different windows and how all the angles and all that. But very quickly, and I think Jeremy, he he was looking for, I think he was excited too because he already knew our background. He knew
Oh,
the craftsmanship. He knew that we already have a background and all that. So for him, he knew it was going into hands where it wasn't going to get worse. Like
so
there's no way. And
yeah, both
it
sides.
was quick. It was quick. I mean, we went through our first initial walkthrough and we started building frames with him. And again, more Moisei's background in parts and CNC and what he can do with bracketry and design on that. He was just, I mean, we remember coming home the first time we went through the walkthrough and everyone was just already giving their ideas of all the little details that we were going to change cosmetically, right?
Right.
And he was like, the rear window, he built it completely different. And Phil was like, "Oh, I'm shaking. I think I could do it." And Mercedes like, "Yep, we already have that process." So, the rear window, we didn't even build it the way he built them. We completely do it a different way. And so there was all the techniques passed on, but and then him coming down a few times, checking, kind of giving us that confidence of, yeah, guys, this is great. This is all being done and and more so. And so during that process, it was, you know, months, and now, we're doing it. And we're designing windows that were never designed before.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely have our little pile. I have my little wall of my first windows that are uh, won't fit and little problems here, but yeah, it was pretty quick.
And since, the past 3 months, I would say, past 2 months, we've been retooling. So all the dies, all the tooling that we've been using, we're remaking, just trying to help us in that last final finesse. So we just take less time because, as you know, the business was built with him hand fitting, hand creating every window, and that's still done. That's not going to change because we understand the frustration when we're installing safaris from other suppliers,
Mhm.
and they're not doing that. And if your die and tooling goes off, how are you going to know? And all of a sudden, the windows start fitting less and less correctly, right? We start hitting a little bit more. And so that process is so important. And so that last bit of finesse, we're just kind of retooling as well. So we just have less hand work and it's just more guiding, getting it in, making sure it's lining up. So that's been a cool thing too, as well.
And I think it's pretty important to also, to note, you said handcrafted, handmade. It's going to continue to be that way. It's also important to note, you guys are made in America. These are
Yeah.
handcrafted products made in America. There are a lot of cheaper options out there. It's not an option that you guys are willing to explore.
Mm.
That's awesome, and that's awesome to know, right? That the handmade aspect, handmade feel is still going to be there.
Joe, and a phone number you can call when you have a
Yeah.
Right,
problem,
right,
right?
big
And,
time, big time.
and
Somebody to
in the
talk to.
world that we live in, no one answers their phone. And that's just something my father instilled in me. You have a business, you answer that phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, man,
And
people are counting on you. Yeah,
they are. And
yeah.
that's something, again, just a reminder, made in America, and we answer our phone.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. So, funny story. I'm a real estate agent. My wife's a real estate broker. We own a brokerage here. And a lot of times people ask us about levels of success that we have and why. And it's funny. I always say this to people when they ask me, "Damn, man, how are you guys so busy?" I always look at them and go, "Because I answer my phone." Because it's like an ongoing thing in our industry. Like you call agents, you're outside of a house, there's an issue with a key, you can't get in. You call an agent, their number's on the sign, it's their cell phone, and they don't answer. And you text them, and they don't respond. And you're like, dude, what are you doing? Are you running a business or not? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I value the heck out of that. I value the heck out of that.
But and then you look on the other end of that, and um, so when we try to take a day with our wives,
Oh,
and that phone rings, guess what happens?
that's a,
I know that.
So
Because we answer it.
yeah,
I know that feeling too, right? It's like,
but you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's part of it.
I'm hearing you. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, yeah.
I totally understand that. But again, right? It's not easy to build a legacy. And, usually it's not even really, there's not even a realization that it's happening until it's much far past that it's already done.
I
There's a
don't
lot
know.
of
And I wanted to point
sacrifice.
that out because you keep saying the legacy and legacy, and this whole time I'm like, well, we're just three guys from Silverton, Oregon. When we have a couple businesses, I don't know how to answer the legacy and all that. It's different when you think about it and you reflect on. You're like, I guess we do a lot. I guess it is kind of cool,
Yeah,
but
man. Yeah,
the end of
dude.
the day, you don't really think about it. You're just trying to do the best you can.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I really do. Let's talk about though expanding beyond Volkswagen into other makes, other models. What's the future look like there? What opportunities, I guess, does this create for you guys moving forward?
I mean, like he touched on earlier, we got we have the Chevys that Jeremy's ready. He's been building for a while for this
47,
47 to 55 Chevy truck rear window.
Hmm.
And then like we're doing the C10 right now. And I mean,
Yeah, sky's
I,
the limit.
I would love a Safari in every car that could take one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because it
that's
just
my
has so
vision.
much.
Me
It's
too.
just different. And
Because I'm here
it's
in Florida and it's hot as hell here.
Yeah.
yeah.
And they look cool. It's a different look. I mean, it's
Super
when
cool.
it's at a show or when you're just driving and it just popped open a little bit, I
It,
love rear windows when they're open. I
it's one
just
of
think
my
that
favorite
looks,
looks. It's to me, it's
yeah.
not just a trend. It's like it's a whole lifestyle to me. It's not just
Yeah.
something that's a fad. I feel
Yeah.
like
Coming with that wind,
every
that
car should be
soft wind.
safaried out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know other people have that vision because the emails and calls I get, hey, can
They
you
do.
do it for a Suburban,
Yeah.
a Metro van? And people have that thought because they see the VWs that have that and they say, oh, that would be cool if
Yeah.
my car could have that
Well, in the early
Yeah.
40s, they had some
in
of
the
those
front.
trucks had the windows that
We
opened 4 inches.
we had a Model A here.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
had
that had
Model
it.
A
Oh,
opened
yeah.
yeah.
those in the 30s.
They,
So
they were on to
it's
something back then.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they just stopped it. So we just gotta now continue it and we're gonna bring it back.
So talking on continuing, tell me how do you guys scale production over time without sacrificing on quality? What do we keep alive?
No sleep.
Uh, you know,
Sleepless nights.
Well, I think, as we build it, it's going to be the fitment of each window in the opening of every car. That will never change because I think you talk about the frustration when a window doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Talk
Well,
about
yeah.
You're the metal guy.
I was the one that would install them. And sometimes you're like adjusting the metal on the vehicle to make the window fit, and that's not how it's supposed to be.
Hmm.
And you want to pull out of the box and you want it to fit. And that's what I want to give to every customer that orders. I don't want a phone call saying, "Hey, why is it not fitting?" I want it just to go right in. That's my goal when I'm building each window is just that.
And to never lose that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Jeremy's fit. It just where you start getting lacking and oh, it's good enough. That's where when you start or the dies start wearing out,
yeah.
or always to keep an eye and attention and focus on making sure they continue to fit and
Yeah.
not get worse and worse and worse as the time goes
And
along.
that's what he always said, handcraft. And he was big on that. And, without even being said, it's an easy continuation. We're just going to hand fit every
Yeah.
single window and adjust where we need. And if we need, make new tooling. And so I think that that process will never change. And we can build from there, as we get our processes, as we get build up again. We talked about this earlier. It's about help. At some point we're going to be adding. So we'll be able to grow the brand. We'll be able to offer job opportunities for guys that want to have an opportunity in doing metalwork and fabricating and doing work like this. So I think that's our vision is we got to build the product. But what we're really focusing on is trying to get that 3-month lead time down to stock. And we just want to say thank you for all the outpour of business we've been getting and the trust that people understand that, hey, this is under new ownership, but the reviews, guys are installing, it's getting out there, and the orders just keep on coming. And we appreciate that. Having that vote of confidence from the Volkswagen community, and keep it coming. And we're trying. We are.
It's apparent. It's apparent. You can completely tell. Just as an FYI, I'm kind of like a Volkswagen community connoisseur, if you will, because I'm kind of ingrained in it because I get to see it from so many angles just by default because of this podcast. I can see the effort, and I love what you said here a second ago. You said this without saying it. We're going to inspect what we expect over time. And if we continue to do that, if we continue to
really good.
Yeah, someone needs to make a note for that. We can maybe put that on our website.
Yeah, but that's actually what you're doing. You said it without saying it. We're going to continue to make sure that the standards there, that we're meeting that excellence of standard, over time, and you can't do that without inspecting, right? So, yeah, man, good stuff. All right, let's touch on kind of the collaboration, the running the three brands. Again, these are not to any of you, but to really all three of you. Do you guys look at yourselves or think of yourselves more as entrepreneurs, or do you look at yourself and think of yourselves as more as restorers and craftsmen?
I'd say for me, I would probably see myself more of as a craftsman, a restorer. I hate doing any kind of office work. I run away if I can from that.
Okay.
I'd rather just be in the shop. That's me. I just love the work.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say I'm the entrepreneur. I love that challenge, the risk, sleepless nights. I don't know why, but it's interesting. But
I can say this, and I can say it with pride. Not everybody's built for that, and we can hear that just in two family members right now, right? One likes the business side, one doesn't. One's more of the risk taker. One likes kind of the, hey, just give me my metal work and let me do my thing.
And again, that goes back on all of our strengths and weaknesses. Like that's his strength in our partnership, and it's not mine. But
so loose nuts is kind of cool because Phil's a guy when we say like, I think we're thinking about this business, he'd just be rolling his eyes and be like, no, stop, we're done, we're too busy, we're too spread out. No, but this one I came at him a little different. Hey, you can be building these frames.
Dang, man.
You're gonna be in the metal shop.
Can you tell he's the salesman?
And he got buy-in before he presented the idea.
And he's like, yeah, that'd be cool. I'm like, good, because we bought the business.
Talk about dangling the carrot, man. That's awesome. So growth for you guys overall, from the perspective of growth, exciting or terrifying?
I think
both.
Exciting.
Yeah.
I think exciting.
Yeah. But in that way, terrifying. I mean,
I think that, because silver lining, we're going to be expanding because I think we mentioned it. I'm a Chevy guy. I mean, I do Volkswagens. I love them now. But 14 years ago, I was not a Volkswagen guy. I didn't even know what they were.
Right.
It just happened to be the house when me and my wife got married. We went looking for houses. We bought a house, and the person there that was renting the house was in the Volkswagens, and I did restoration and body work on the side. So I told him, hey, if you ever need a bus painted or something painted, I could do that. And he's like, well, I know where a whole bunch of these are. Why don't we do something together? And so I just started with him buying them, and then I and quit the day job, and then here we go. So, and then we restored one double cab took it to Woodburn, and it started. I mean, everyone was just like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? Because they never seen me in the industry, never at a show. It was just boom, we came down. And
Yeah, and
so
it's
I
funny to
think,
mention it that way too, because it's as big as it is and as vast as it is and as much opportunity is out there for people, it really is kind of a small world too,
it is.
it's
Fair.
inside
It
of
is.
this
The
community.
Volkswagen community is very, and I think that's, something in having all those qualities, craftsmanship and just staying humble and trying to be a good business guy, doing what's right. It's kind of it's easy and it's when it's such a small community because you get a bad name quick,
Yeah,
really quick, one way or another,
you keep saying something though, and it goes into the quality of your business, what you're building, and what you're building in these guys as your team as well, and that's doing it right. We had a meeting probably 2013, room full of technicians, and this same topic kept coming up of just do it right the first time, do the right thing, and it actually became like a phrase that we would say in our company to the tune that we had it stitched into the right sleeve of all of our tech shirts. Do the right thing. So we would always point at it when we were talking with customers and stuff, and it was red. It was stitched in red on a navy blue shirt. So, dude, it stood out like a sore thumb. And that's it, man. If you want quality inside of the swag of the brand in total, if you operate and function everything off do the right thing, I mean, can you really lose anywhere? No. I mean, you're doing the right thing. You're doing what's right for people. And if you do right by people, people always turn around and do right by you. So now it's like this unexpected kind of community slash just this growth that just happens. It's just organic like feeling because your heart's there. It's in the right place. You're doing the right thing. And I've heard you say this probably 10, 12, 15 times throughout all these questions in this conversation. So, yeah, man, it fits. Give me the biggest lesson that you guys have learned from acquiring existing brands instead of maybe starting from scratch.
I think the first would be when we moved West Coast.
Yeah,
Would
West
that be?
Coast. West Coast, it has we have a lot of good and a lot of bad. But to answer the question, why not start it yourself versus buying a company that's already been in it?
Mhm.
Just that alone, without all the other, I think, he's talking about location and what it is and where it's at. You have to look at all that. I think West Coast, we touched on that. On the one bad was location. We uprooted a business I was in for 30 years in one location, and we moved it 1,000 miles away into Oregon
In a month.
in a month.
Yeah, there was
And it was just, and
no transition.
we didn't really tell people. It was just, what do you mean? Where's Lenny? And so it wasn't really a broadcasted move. So there's all those, but buying an existing company, day one, you're inheriting everything: phone, website, social media, and everything that came with the quality of the parts already in place. So
Good,
when you
good and bad.
good and bad, good and
Yeah.
bad, and you just identify what you want to change because we're the new owners, and we get to change now what we want with loose nuts, what we want with West Coast Classic, because we're the owners and it's under new management.
Yeah.
So we get to pick what we want to change and what we don't want to change, and continue on. And so I think with that day one, already structure in place, that has value. And, taking the risk of purchasing it, I feel that it takes a lot longer because we've done silver lining. We started that from scratch, almost closed the door 3 times, right?
Right.
So it's difficult. You have to have a lot of time, you're a lot of investment in getting something running. And then why compete with another maker when you can just acquire it? Then you're not adding another product out there and you're just coming right in.
Well, they teach us a lot to see some success, right? You're supposed to hit the ground running. It's like a bumper sticker, right? Hit the ground running. that's what you do when you buy a brand that's already
Yeah,
set up and already going. You hit the ground running, and then you get to, as a success in your own right already. Now you get to put your personal spin and your touch on things to make it even better. And it's not to say that it wasn't absolutely fantastic already,
yeah, yeah.
but it's going to be better because we say it,
Right. And
right?
I think, Joe, I think that's expected
Sure.
because I think
It should
it,
be by
it
even
should be
people that
because
you buy it from.
exactly because I think our client are going to question, we heard a lot of comments like, well, who are these guys?
Exactly.
We don't
Exactly.
know them. And is the quality going to go down? And Jeremy was like, guys, this is silver lining. This is the ownership of silver lining. Like he was instilling the trust in everybody, but we need to make it better. We have to make it better because everyone is going to be looking at us
Yeah.
with even more of a critiquing eye. So we
Yeah.
just feel that we had to bring it up. And I think those little changes that we made with the bracketry and all those little things, it gave us our little just that little blue our fingerprint was put on the business.
Yeah.
And now we can
Stamp
make
of
it our own.
approval.
Day one, the website was redone. We completely changed the website, made it a little more order friendly, um, for the future as well, right? So there's a new look on day one with the loose nut safaris being now loose nut safaris, not VW loose safaris. All these little, just tiny changes,
Yeah.
but having that quality and then now bettering. And, we're excited to talk about it. We want to think about doing the stainless steel instead of the chrome to have, again, a quality that's going to last a lot longer versus something that could break down. So we're just constantly going to be R&D, constantly pushing the limits, seeing what we can do. And again, the tolerances on these windows, they're so tight,
Mm.
and if a guy screws it in just a little bit over, it's going to change it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he could just by installing it wrong, hit it, so it's a very difficult product to build, we feel. And I think, but when you get it right, it's rewarding.
Yeah. And you'll continue to inspect what you expect. See, we
Yeah.
we dawned on something good here. All right, let's touch a little bit on Volkswagen community, I guess, future of big picture, because this is a VW podcast. uh Air-cooled hobby, your opinion. Healthier today than it was 10 years ago, or where's it at?
10 years ago, far from me.
10 years ago, far for you. I could probably talk 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, I think in every industry there's ebb and flow in just the overall collectability, right? So as we know, it peaked about 4 years ago, really hard. So we had so many investors that weren't even into Volkswagens wanting a Volkswagen in their collection.
You
And
see
I,
that in the pricing.
yeah, and
Pricing's done this the last
and
2, 3
and
years.
now it's coming down, and now you're kind of getting back to just the hardcore Volkswagen guys, right?
Right, right.
But the one thing I would say is that we went to like the Portland Roadster Show here in our city here, big roadster show. It makes all brands, right? Your Chevys, your Fords, everybody's there, right? Hot rods and so Volkswagens, they're mixed in there, but every year they want us there, and they put us in the front. And there's a reason because there is always a story with Volkswagens. And the amount of people that we see at a Volkswagen show versus, let's say, a hot rod show, age difference. We see a lot of younger kids at Volkswagen shows versus the hot rod shows. And so I just think we're hopeful that there is a next generation that could enjoy an air-cooled motor running. I mean, it is unique, right?
It is. It
And
is.
I could speak to this because I wasn't a Volkswagen guy. And these guys are even further away from it than me. I mean, these are Hemi guys right here. Call them the Hemi brothers, right? They're into Dodge and all that. And they love that muscle. And we got some cool cars, We got a 1950 split bug and we're all geeked out about it, right? And
Ooh.
With
and
its tiny little 25 horsepower
Yeah.
motor.
25 horsepower
Yeah.
motor, right? So I think you could always just appreciate it. I think because of the amount of stories that the generations, you know, prior had. But how does that look in 10, 15 years? I can't say that.
Well, it's up to us. Speaking on the stories, I started a podcast because, well, every Volkswagen has a story. Every owner usually has a slew of stories. My first Volkswagen, I'm 48 years old, was 17. I bought it fresh out of high school, 17 years old. I paid 2 grand for a 72 standard Beetle, corner of the Tyrone Square Mall parking lot. One owner. I bought it from a little old lady with 76,000 miles on it. It was my favorite car. I still think about that. They say the ones that get away. I still think about that car all the time. But the point was there's always stories, and again, there's a reason why this podcast even hits and is celebrated and downloaded in 75 countries, and it's because Volkswagens always kind of have a story. It's up to us though, as the enthusiasts, as the craftsmen, as the guys that are building kind of the cars for the next generations. It's up to us to create that excitement in these younger generations to think that these cars are cool. Be open to some of the trends. Be open to, right? I'm cool with, keeping things completely stock and the purists and all of that as well. But hell, man, I like the Volksrad too. What a badass car. Chop the top, put metal seats in it, do all whatever. The cool thing about this hobby as a whole is exactly that. There's so much personality in it that it's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's like every avenue you take, the car can be the exact same year, even the same color, but the personality of it can completely change because it's the little things. It's the gear shifter. It's the steering wheel. It's the way the dash is dressed up and set up. It's the color of the interior. It's the floor mats. It's the door cards. Are they wood? Are they metal? Are they vinyl? Like it's like there's so many cool options and features. But my point is, it's up to us to get these kids excited, and I'll take that responsibility and I'll hold that, that torch. You can pass it to me because I'm going to work hard on making sure that the next generation is excited about an air-cooled car. I'll make it as cool as possible. How do we do that? Put the kids inside them. Let them touch them. Let them drive.
Yeah, you just saying that will spark a little story, with our cutaway. We call it was in Hot VW's a
Ooh,
cutaway car.
okay.
And when, that idea was stemmed from being at shows with our interiors, West Coast, and everyone being so respectful. They don't want to open the door, it closed. We're constantly opening it so they can see the interior. They would come up, carefully look at everything.
Which is awesome. That's
Which is
what you
great.
want.
Yeah,
I mean,
That is what you
yeah,
want. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
looking at it going, guys, let's just make a cutaway. Let's just open up half the car and let's do it. And it is so controversial because a lot of guys think that it's actually a real oval. It's not. It's like 7 different cars that we got from our boneyard. It's a 62 center section. It's a 55 front end, a 56 rear back end. It's a 58 pan. Fenders are from all sorts of cars. The whole thing was literally boneyard. And we made it at a high-end restoration to show every business. So now we have the restoration with the bodywork and paint. We have the interior that's open. Everybody could walk up and see it. And then now we have the safari windows being able to, open up, and it's a piece. But above that, we let all the kids climb in there and take pictures inside this cutaway. And they just get so excited because they're told all day long, don't touch, don't touch. And
Yes.
then they come up to the car and we're like, get in there. They're like, they look at their parents every time,
Right.
like, are you sure?
Yeah,
And
man.
then the parents are so thankful. They're
Yeah.
like, they're like, thank you so much
That's what
for
I
allowing
say. It's
them.
up to us. It's up
Yeah.
to us. Truly,
So it
truly.
kind of resonates when you said that story, just thinking about that,
Yeah.
given that opportunity to let them jump in, touch the cars, go for it.
Awesome, guys. Awesome. And I'm glad to hear that, you built something inspired by that very thought of letting the younger generations get inside and feel and see and Yeah, man, that's how this whole thing continues. That's actually the only way that it continues. If we continue to keep it reserved and not make it cool, there's not as many of these cars on the road anymore. So, now they're already rare. So like my kids or even your guys' sons, 3 and 11, they're only going to see these cars at shows. Well, figuratively, your guys' kids are going to see them all in your shop. But regular families that have a 3 and an 11-year-old right now, they're hardly ever going to see them. So when you get that very rare opportunity to get a kid excited about a classic Volkswagen, man, let them take the freaking full experience. Let them sit in it, grab the wheel, and pretend they're
Yeah.
driving and all that stuff. And I think that's super important. Let's touch on the trends of the Volkswagen community. Do you guys have any trends that excite you or any trends right now that are concerning to you?
You touched on the original. I think that's changed a lot, I would say. Over the past 10, 12 years, at the beginning, it was all about the purist and original, period correct.
Mhm.
Now it's a lot more suspension, bigger motor, custom interior, and we're seeing that with builds that we have. Guys will put different color paints on the outside. They'll put something with pearl in there, right?
Mhm.
And then the interiors with plaid and leather, and they're bringing all these different things together. And so we see that has changed, I would say.
Kind of
Sure.
like what you said earlier with the everybody puts their own uh,
Flavor.
flavor on it,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's every car is different, which is cool. I mean, we have like this white bug we built for Scott. It's this crazy. I mean, it's what was it, a
54.
54? What color do we?
It's a
It's a
pearl white from Toyota.
And it's crazy. It's white with all, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's got all this chrome and it's lowered. And at a show, it brings so much attention. But then you have your people that I wouldn't build it, but it's cool.
Yeah.
But it's everybody's personal, you know,
Yeah. Hot rodders are coming up to us at the Portland Roadster show, and they're like, okay, I don't like Volkswagen. I would never own a Volkswagen, but if I did, this is the
yeah.
one I would own. Right.
Right, right.
So, yeah, we're seeing that change a little bit. But then again, we're talking about that, and right next to us is a 21 window, and it's lowered, chrome rims, and he wants to take it back to stock. So, everybody's different. Everyone's, everybody has their flavor, but the trends, I think it's still going to be there for a long time. You look at the shows in California, I'm sure on the East Coast, the campouts, and the amount of people that are coming. This year at Woodburn was the biggest show we've probably had that since I've been there.
How many
You know,
cars?
I don't even know.
In
It was
thousands.
huge.
And it was cool because
Holy shit.
we were able this year to talk with who puts on the show, and we got the Porsche guys now coming. We opened up a spot for the 356 and the 912s, and so now they're excited to keep building that row up.
Sure.
And it's so just the whole family between Porsche and Volkswagen, and we just see a lot of people enjoying that camp out, that lifestyle. And I think we see it in the US with the vans. What are those? The Transit
Sprinters.
vans, the Sprinter vans.
Yeah.
People are building those out now and making
Yeah.
that their life on the road.
Yeah.
And that Volkswagen kind of, I think,
It's
it's good with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Westphalia and the Camp.
They're the original.
Though I think those guys started that trend, and so I think some of those guys that do that could appreciate having a Volkswagen and having that old one and a new as well. So yeah, I don't think I could say anything's concerning. I would just say overall the world that we live in right now, and the economy would be the only thing that would be concerning. But other than the passion,
We could talk
I,
about that for probably the rest of the afternoon.
yeah, we don't want to get in all that, but
Right, right, right.
we just all
I'm
hope for the
cool.
best.
I'm
We
cool
just
with
want to
kind
make
of
it
keeping that
opportunity.
at bay, right? Let's stay
Yeah.
positive, boys.
That's all we have to do and take care of ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we can do what we can do. And our job is to build Volkswagens to the highest level we can.
Mm.
And what the clients are wanting us to build. And that's all we can do is stay in our lane, worry about what we can do and what we can build and how we can build it and just hope for the best.
Yeah, right on, man. All right. I got some rapid fire questions for you guys. All right. These are questions that are going to demand a fast response. So when I ask it, each of you go, but each of you give me a quick response. All right. Don't think too much on it. Just hit me with the gut. All right. You're not going to say anything bad or wrong because there is no wrong answer. All right. Rapid fire. You guys ready?
All right.
All right. Don't matter who answers first, but favorite VW of all time.
The 23 window.
15 window.
Yeah,
Okay.
specifically 1958 15 window.
Okay.
Press bumper. Love them.
Unlimited budget, dream build.
VW or Volkswagen or,
Well, yeah.
yeah, VW or
This is a Volkswagen podcast, so let's go VW.
Okay.
All right.
For me, it would be just a really nice 23 window with a big motor in it. Not really slammed, just tucked a little bit. And
Maybe just some drop spindles.
yeah, or air ride, but not slammed. That's probably,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, that's my,
So partially inflated.
yeah. I don't like the sitting on the ground thing, but personally, but I
That's
just like a good cruiser.
my thing is as low as it can go. I mean, I want to take reflectors up off the street. To me, it's just I think it's my age. So I'm I was born in 77 and I kind of grew up in the 80s, and in the 80s the lowrider was everything, right? Even into the early 90s, the 80s into the 90s was the mini trucks, and everything was low back then and the lowrider was real big. Then we get into the 90s and we started getting hydraulics and all the cars are dancing around and stuff. So I really grew up in lowrider culture. So everything that I look at, I always look at it and go, how's it going to look when I lower it? Take all that.
how do we get a little more interest out of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say mine's I always like the rare, the rarest. So, and I'm in the buses. I like my buses. So I'm gonna go to a 23 barn door,
Ooh,
and just go crazy build. I would,
yeah.
that's what I would do, but back then,
200K plus.
yeah, that
Yeah.
would be mine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd stick with my 15 window.
Okay.
Kind of the same style he has with the air ride, not all the way down, but just really clean.
Functional.
And big motor.
Big motor, huge, as big as we can get in there.
Okay.
Some
Cool.
Some turbo.
Turbos
Yeah.
definitely.
All right. Relative to your craft, you guys are all kind of different and you're doing different ventures. So far, biggest restoration mistake relative to your craft.
letting customers give us paint.
Yeah.
Probably be
Agree on
or
that.
yeah.
Yeah, we when you let the customer sometimes tell you what they want, sometimes it's not the best for actual.
That's why they're coming to you. They
For-
don't
for the
what they want.
products.
Yeah, for
They
the
need
product.
the
Yeah.
Okay.
How you want it built, but for what we use to
Yeah.
kind of the most expensive.
Yeah,
we
I have
paint.
to say I had two problems with paint jobs, and both times were with clients supplying the paint. And so I think I'm done. One was about 10, 12 years ago, and another one about 6 months ago. So we're done. No more paint from any clients. We're done.
Okay. Last one. Biggest restoration mistake.
I mean, the biggest one I've still seen is the paint. That's
Okay.
overall the biggest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it hurt us all.
That hurt us
we
a
all
lot.
felt that one.
Okay.
Because we're gonna stand behind our stuff,
How about
Yeah.
this one? This one might catch maybe some subtle differences, or maybe I don't know, maybe it won't. Most memorable customer.
We're probably all gonna agree again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
We're gonna say Scott Myers.
Okay.
I mean, because he's been with us since the beginning, and his build kind of put us on the map with the double cab that got into hot VWs, and he let us do our thing, and just overall, just being with him the whole time, even though he's building a square body right now, extended cab square body dually, and he's not bringing it to us for bodywork and paint. We're a little offended, but every relationship has to come to an end once in a while, and
Yeah.
hopefully he's listening to this one day.
Hey.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
all
overall,
of our
he's-
sake, hopefully he's listening.
Yeah. He is the best. Yeah. He's
But we're
Yeah.
gonna say the funniest has got to be Mike Griffin.
Yeah,
That guy.
yeah.
Every time we were building his car, he'd come with the stories, and oh man, it was too much. But yeah, I'd say those two guys.
Okay. All right. How about this one? Because this is definitely going to be different for all three of you. One tool that you can't live without.
Welder.
Phone.
computer.
Okay.
I mean, it goes back to what we do best. He talks on the phone. That's his thing. Computer, I'm sourcing, I'm doing all that kind of stuff and a welder for him. So it's it's all of our strong points. It's the tool that works in our strong point.
Let's touch on legacy, even though you don't see it as such. If we're going to go kind of, we'll section this out just a little bit. But when people hear the name Silver Lining 50 years from now, what do you hope that they think about?
The same foundation that we built today, quality, and whoever takes it, the generations, stay humble and stay passionate and keep that quality going. I think that's the biggest thing. They got to be good people running these businesses. And our job is to pass that on, not just businesses, but how you are as a human being.
Mm,
And
matters
the next
carefully.
generation needs to have that. Because if like you said, that your shirt, just do the right thing.
Yeah.
And that goes a long ways. And I would say that for me, starting the business, Silver Lining, having them join in, and then the next generation hopefully coming in, that was what I would hope, is that everyone keeps the thing the main thing, and that's just being good people.
Mm, love it. West Coast, what responsibility comes with carrying forward just a very respected interior brand like this?
I would say kind of the same way as with Silver Lining. I mean, I don't know what more to say about. I don't know how you can be better than just trying the best you can to get better and to keep that to do the right thing mentality, and to keep that, if my son goes into it, to keep him in that, so he follows along doing that same way, answering the phone, making sure the product is done right, you know, in that way, I think is the same way.
All right. And then loose nuts. How do we honor Jeremy's legacy while still making loose nuts your own?
Well, I think just kind of we touched on a bunch before. Jeremy, he was known for his quality, his fitment, and standing behind his product. So that is, I think, we're 100% to carry that on.
Okay. Well said.
Attention to details. If there was a problem, which we're all human, there could be a problem, and standing behind our product. Answering that phone if we get a call, something's wrong, taking care of it, whatever, if it's meaning sending out a new frame or whatever it is to fix that and make it right for the customer.
Hmm.
And then just doing our best we can to expand, get better, and yeah, I think that's
I don't know if it gets much better, guys. That's
yeah.
that's it. All right, how about this then? If you could just leave maybe one final message for either the next generation of builders, the next generation of restorers, next generation of dreamers inside of the Volkswagen community, what would it be from each of you? One final message.
For me, it's going to be never be afraid to try, right? And the younger you start, the easier it'll be. And if you never start, you will never know.
Mm,
So jump in 2 feet forward and ask for help. I think the Volkswagen community, I would have to say, is the best with that. You can go to a show and you can talk to a builder, or you can talk to a guy, and they will give the information needed
mhm.
or help where they can. And, don't be afraid to ask, because I wasn't when I started, on my venture and body work and all that. So just get it, go, and don't look back. And you're going to make mistakes, but who cares? You just fix them.
And I think he pretty much said it. I mean, yeah, just get into it. Kind of like when I said before how he taught me, just go for it.
Yeah, don't be afraid to fail because, well,
Yeah.
there is no really mistake if we learn. And,
And
failure is easy if we don't look at it as a negative. If we look at it as, well, it's no big deal, it's a positive. What did we learn from it? And how can we move forward and not make that same mistake again? And again, that goes back to leadership and all the rest of that we talked about before. Um, how about
and
you?
then just enjoy them. Enjoy the cars. They're fun to
Yeah.
fun to drive when you go to these like the events. I mean, they're super fun. You go to camp outs and everything. It's a great time. We
Yeah,
don't get to go to all of them, but when we do, it's great. You have barbecue, and then just the community itself is the family is just awesome.
yeah, yeah. Good. Well said. Amen to that too. That's why I did this whole thing with this podcast is because I've really enjoyed the lifestyle over the course of my life. One of a kind community, one of a
Yeah,
kind people,
definitely.
so yeah, man, I'm with you. All right. Last of the Mohicans.
I heard something real interesting recently about, and it really stuck to me. Um, you hear the word "you only live once,"
Mhm.
but when it comes to mistakes, you don't. You live every day. You only die once. So you make a mistake today, tomorrow, be better. Don't make the same mistake 2 days in a row, or in general, don't make the same mistake again, and just move forward. Jump in with 2 feet and don't make yesterday's mistake today or tomorrow.